I felt like financially, I was looking at the bank account and I was like, oh, I don't like that. It's the first time I'm seeing like a decreasing in my cash in the accounts. I was like, I don't like that. So I just think that at this particular moment, I had to find a solution. I used to, okay, let's do another package. Let's get another employee. Let's find solution. But at this moment, the solution was for me to quit. And it's kind of strange. It's the first time in my life that it's happening. Like the entrepreneur needs to quit his own company. For me, it felt strange. It still is.
All right, today's episode is sponsored by Mindblow. Mindblow, if ever you want to get your mind blown, this is the drink. I have my friend Sam Beaudry here at the Mount Stephen Broker's desk. Another episode, we're going to talk about real stuff, trying to be a little bit deeper, not surface level. Yeah. Sam, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're a friend, you're a client of the mentorship program, you're an entrepreneur. You're a father, you're a husband. You're
pretty much.
Partenaire.
Not husband,
Not husband, not yet. We're going to put
yet.
that on the things to accomplish. And you're somebody who's always looking to do better.
Yeah.
That started a long time ago. Something happened to you. Let's start with that. Let's start with the beginning.
Okay, you want to talk about when I was young or like you want to go start already?
You know what I'm talking about, man.
Okay,
go.
So I've been born in a family with a mother who works in prison. She's a prison guard. And my father was in a foyer de groupe, so for kids with problems. And so I always have like a tendency of wanting to be more and more in-house. So I needed to be competitive in sports. At school, I needed to have good grades. So my goal personally was to find who I was really, really young, because my mother wanted me to be, like I said, always more in terms of grade and everything. So when I stopped college after the first year, when I dropped out of college, everything was like out of my world. Like my mom was she wasn't proud. I wasn't proud of myself at the same time. So for the first time in my life, I was like, who am I, what I want to do, where I want to go. So that's when I started to do maybe some bad decision. I had some bad relationship with people. I wanted to be part of a group of people I thought was great people for me, but they wasn't. So I ended up in prison when I was 22 years old. That's a big part of what we are talking on a usual basis when I'm coming to a meeting with you. It's because it's a big part of my life. Like prison is something that really taught me a lot. Like I do think that I needed prison to be maybe the person that I am today. But once I've been in prison, I decided that I just want to be a greater person, just as an entrepreneur, as Samuel, just as today as a father. So my goal has always been to be a better person, and the prison just give me maybe the tools to today wanted to be greater and greater.
There's well, first of all, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being upfront. There's a gentleman that I follow online, Mr. Wes Watson, who talks about how his 10 years transformed him, made him who he is today. I haven't had the chance to work with him. Truly inspiring. Yeah. Cuts the bullshit. And I think that you bring some of that energy in which you say, okay, well, this is a part of me, but it does not define who I am. Yep. You started in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that.
So I started to work out when I dropped out of college. I was maybe around 17 years old, 18. I quit my parents' home at 17.
Okay.
So I was in a small apartment, not any money. It was hard for me to job. I had 2 jobs at the time. No studies. I was at college. So I started working out because I wanted to feel better about myself. Mm-hmm. So when I dropped out of college, I didn't have any passion outside of the gym. So the only thing I thought at this moment was like maybe I can do a career as a fitness trainer. So I started doing some small courses. You call that private courses. So I didn't went to a university or anything. So I just got a couple of like, let's say, degree certification. And I started working out a little bit more. I did some competition in bodybuilding. And then I started having some more clients. So in 2015, I started Project Physique, which was my company for fitness. I opened a gym, let's say 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I had the prison story also. So it was like a transition of like trying to be an entrepreneur, but at the same time having bad relationship with people. Like I said, I was trying to be in a group of people who were older than me, who I thought was like, so how can I say that?
Yeah.
Wiser, richer, better with women, in a better shape. So I was like, okay, I need to work out more. Okay, I need to work more. Okay.
In other words, the same reason why you hang out with me.
Exactly.
Okay,
but
good.
for the great decision today. So so this has been my life for maybe the last 8 or 9 years. I've been in the fitness industry. I really love my time as a personal trainer. It learned me a lot of things.
Sure.
But as today, I just started to maybe lose a little bit of the passion because.
Did you feel boxed into an identity that was limiting who you actually feel that you are, or that what you can be?
Maybe it's because it's the kind of career where there's a lot of ego. It's always about the shape, about how you look, about other people look, about how you compare to others. So
I can guarantee you that there's a lot of industries like real estate, which is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Not in how you look physically, because there's a whole bunch of guys that can benefit from that, including myself at certain times. But definitely what the trophies look like, what the cars look like, and so very little depth on that. But please carry on.
Yeah. So when I was younger, like I said, it was easy to be impressionné by other people all the time. So I was just like looking at older people. Like I said, the group I was with, they were richer, they were bigger, they were more in shape. It's always the kind of career where you are comparing yourself with other people. Also, I was it was the time where social media really started. So your business in the fitness industry was like always Instagram, Facebook. So you needed to post pictures about your physique, about your abs, about all these things. So after a couple of years, I started to feel maybe a little bit less comfortable in that industry because it was always, I needed to be in shape. I was with my, let's say, wife, now with the 2 kids. So it's harder for me now to be always in shape, to always take the good decision to get in shape. So I was like, maybe this is not the right career for me. Maybe at the same time, I started other businesses where I think my passion just went through to other areas. So I was like, maybe this is not the type of people that I want to be. Like maybe, yes, of course, I want to stay in shape. I want to be healthy. That's the word. I'm more in a balanced lifestyle right now. But the fitness industry can be a really nice industry, but can also be really, I think...
to the detriment of the person's actual health, because there are many extremes.
Exactly.
Like in anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Part of this is to provide value for the people who listen. We talk about our story as a baseline to give people an indication of where we started, where we're going.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the decisions that you're making, some of the struggles, some of the goals that we're setting and what we're going to do to attain this. Starting with, now that you've realized and decided and evolved from a position that is only defined or mainly defined by the fitness industry, there is a transition between letting go of something and moving on. How heavy has the cost been of holding something that you're no longer, aligned with?
Yeah, we started talking about that like the first time we met. It was my gym, because when you start a company, in my opinion, like, you really want it to work. So when you have a company like mine, like Project Physique, who has been my company for the past 8-9 years, you feel very attached to that. I'm still young also. I think that maybe part of maybe immaturity or something like that. Like, I do really get attached easily to things, and my company was one of these things. So I was like, even if I maybe lost my passion 2-3 years ago, where I just delegate all my tasks to employees. So I wasn't doing a lot of things for my company. So even for the profit, it wasn't even that interesting. So I was like just keeping that because it was my company. And it was feeling nice to say, hey, I have a company. I have 3 companies. It was always feeling like it was nice to say, I have a gym.
Well, okay, so one of the things I have to tell you, you're how old are you, 30?
29.
Fuck. Yeah. Good.
Thanks.
Young guy. Okay, so one of the things is this. I find it amazing to have so many young guys and girls like you investing so much in trying to find the right path. The self-reflection, the analysis, the mentoring that you're even providing for yourself. I wasn't doing that at 30. I know a lot of people at 30, 20 years ago or 15 years ago doing that. So, a decade goes by so fast. The fact that you're mapping your path, that we're talking about a 10-year vision, the compound effect of all these right decisions are going to pay off so well. And I think at the end of the day, you have to trust the process. We talk about that with Maktar. You have to keep moving forward. But I think it's important to give yourself a little bit of credit for just the fact that you're thinking about it, which is, way ahead of the game. You're in the process now of removing that. What has replaced your passion for the fitness industry?
I would say it's MindBlow. So it's my company right there, the energy drink. Thank you very much.
What's special about MindBlow other than its fantastic taste? It's low calorie.
You're perfect. I need you for my ads now. There's nootropics inside. So when maybe...
Hold on. There's what?
Nootropics.
For people who don't know nootropics, let's...
So let's say they are a natural ingredient. They can be synthetic, but in our drink, it's only natural.
Yes.
To help you with your cognitive function. So all about focus, energy, clarity, mood, memory. So it's different than just caffeine, which can be a stimulant. It's other ingredient that when you put that inside and in a synergy, you get more effect. So you can have energy, and like I said, all the other benefits for like 4 to 6 hours.
Whereas a nootropic will...
If what?
Be longer, the nootropics?
Exactly. So when you get the nootropics with the caffeine, you're getting the effects for like 4 to 6 hours. So it's way more interesting than other drinks in the market.
The first time I actually heard about nootropics was on the Andrew Huberman podcast. I don't know that it's something that's necessarily widespread or widely known. Are there other drinks on the market right now that have nootropics?
There's only one other in Canada. So when we started this past January, we were the only one. Okay. In the United States, it's a little bit more known. Let's say common, So when I started this company 2 years ago with just the supplement, I was using product from United States. And when I searched online for product in Canada just to save on shipping costs or whatever, there was no other product of that quality that the one I was using. So I decided to start with a partner to do the formula with a scientist and do the supplement. And when people reached out to us last year to create the energy drink, I was like, let's go. We're going to revolutionize the industry.
The industry, yes.
Now we are in 2023. It's a big industry. It's hard. We have a lot of competition. It's all the game of distribution and things. So it's a big company with lots of mistakes on every single step we are taking, but it's really, really interesting. That's why I think just found back my passion about business, because
this is so huge. I mean, in terms of potential. And look, every revolution begins with a conversation. So no worries there. I want to touch on that because it speaks to me a little bit in my path where I'm transitioning from, being in the real estate business as a broker agent, which sort of was my identity for the last almost 20 years. Yeah. And to say, for me to jump into something not completely different, but let go of something that's an identity to do something that fuels my passion. Yeah. We share a little bit in that path where the faster something is behind and it's clean, the more time and more energy you spend. And to try to sustain both, I think that there needs to be a moment where, there may be a sacrifice, but in the long run, it's not a sacrifice. Yeah. It's like the time that I'm spending on this, and you've mentioned it, just operating the gym, just paying the rent for the gym is time that you're not spending on MindBlow. But the potential of this is scalable. This is a legacy. This is something that, whereas, and no harm in being a gym owner, there are many. No harm in being a great real estate broker, there are many. And I think both you and I find our passion in doing something that's a little bit bigger than us. Yeah,
just in that sometime we were getting, like I said, attached to things, and it's holding us back from it was hard for me to just think about maybe selling the company and everything. And since the prison, I had a really hard time with let's say, influence. So I was like, I always wanted to go on my own path. So I was not asking anyone anything. It was just, I want to do my thing. No mentor, no coach, no courses. It was like, I want to do everything by myself. So I lost so many years of my life just doing that. So that's why I reached out to you this year. It was like, I think I'm almost 30. I got my 2 kids. Everything is going well. Business is going well. It was like time for me just to maybe be more accountable, maybe just have great conversation also, but just having someone else feedback or sometimes clarity, direction. I do think like I'm ready for that right now. And just since we started speaking together about the sale of the gym, I do feel more comfortable just in my own skin.
Well, it's amazing. We have great conversations. I get as much from our conversations because I believe it has to be a two-way street. I think it was Marcus Aurelius that said that the teacher will show himself when the student is ready. And in this case, but again, and another thing that my father tells me is it's never too late to do the right thing. Yep. In fact, I believe that you're way ahead of the game because at 30, that's when you think you know everything. In fact, men tend to have a longer, learning curve and maturity curve where, at 35, I thought I knew everything. At 40, I knew everything. And every 5 years, I look back and I'm like, fuck.
I didn't know anything.
Yeah. But the good news is that we keep getting better. Yeah. Whereas, Okay, so touching on that, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish for yourself, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, that other than, okay, I want to have the biggest, nootropics company in the world, what are some of the things that that really speak to you, to your passion, to what's important to you fundamentally?
The first step with you was talking more about Sam. Like I'm the guy who always talk about companies and marketing and things, and even on my own social, it was always content based on. So when I started TikTok last year, I really found out a new something I lost during my years of like maybe even before college when I was doing theater. Is that the word?
Yeah, theater, sure.
So I lost the passion of doing just regular content, funny content, or just Sam content,
yes.
outside of business.
Which is nice because you don't have to sell anything. You don't have to invent anything. You just have to be yourself.
Yeah. And I do use it, of course, to plug Mindblow or other companies, but I do feel more like I have fun doing the content. So that was one thing for me, and that's still the thing I want to do for maybe the next 5 years, is finding more balance, but in my own life also. Like I have my 2 kids. The first transition I did when I had my kids was to reschedule my schedule to be able to wake up early, work, but then having always times for my kid. I didn't want to be the father to be out for 9 to 5 and then it's dinner and now you go
bedtime and that's
exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. So my goal was to have a great schedule as a dad, as an entrepreneur, to be able to do as much thing as possible. And I just accepted that it's now different than it used to be. So in the next 5 to 10 years, my goal is to keep it and work on that balance to be able to have as much time as possible with my kids while also creating a future for them. Like I do think that I found the why in my businesses. I used to only do that for, let's say, not only for money. I was really passionate about my business, but now I have the passion of driving my business so my kid got a great future and the kids of my kids. So this is a great drive that I have right now for them and for their kids. And it's also the reason why I want to stop working. That's another thing. I used to work 24/7. Now I do, and we talk about that quite often, having more time with my wife, more free time only with my wife. That's other thing we are working on. So my goal for the next 5 or 10 years, yes, are based on companies to scale them, but also to work on myself, on my relationship, on your
balance.
Yeah.
A theme that comes up often is people seeking balance. We like to, put the little disclaimer that balance sometimes is very, I won't say unrealistic, but it's very difficult to attain, and sometimes it sets expectations from other people and from yourself. As importantly is the harmony, and to understand that there are some days where you may need to work 18 hours in that day. There's some days where you need to leave with your wife for 2 days. There's some days where you need to leave with yourself. So it's not always everything in equal measure, but a harmony in what the end goal is. And this is another thing that we've talked about, to be aligned with the person that you're with. You had Florence, your wife, on your podcast recently. And how was that? And what did you talk about?
So my wife got I'm going to say it in French, Gilles de la Tourette syndrome.
Tourette syndrome.
Tourette, yeah, that's the right word. So she got let's say a small syndrome. So it's not something like, people always think it's the one like
the extreme where they're swearing.
She's going to scream swearing and like American Pie style. So my goal was to, of course, put her in a position where she can talk about that, because she never talked about that in the past. When she was younger, she was hiding that part of herself, and then that only was just exploding. So my podcast is to learn about controversy, about my story in prison. So I do have guests who have like kind of crazy or extraordinary stories. and I feel like my wife got one. And we have the synergy we have a really great synergy as a couple, but there's a story of her syndrome, but the way I'm living with it. And also she got the way, like when I was in prison, I was with my wife. Yeah. So that was something I wanted to talk about in the podcast, to be like, what was her position when she was home without her husband for a couple of months? So I think it's my favorite episode so far because it's really genuine. It's honest. It's funny. It's sad. It's just a great storytelling of our relationship in a 1 hour episode. So it was really fun.
Something that you're going to look back on, something that your kids are going to look back on. So good for you.
Thanks.
And is your wife involved in your day-to-day business?
No. So my wife is a hairdresser.
Okay.
So we opened for her a salon 2 or 3 years ago. We bought a triplex in Sainte Thérèse, and we just started a salon for her. So my wife is not really the entrepreneur type. She prefers just to have like all her chair rented. She got her own chair. So, and
well, which in itself is a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. She's like not working 9 to 5 for somebody else. So
yeah totally. So and that was the reason behind, like, we wanted to have more control in our life with the kids also, to be like, in January we're gonna go in vacation. Yeah, we didn't want to say, hey, when is your time that you can go on vacation or what? Like, we are really in control of our schedule right now, so that's awesome for the family. Like I said, she doesn't really want to have to manage people. Like, she want to manage her own things, and it's perfect. And we talked about that also, that I just decided to maybe cut a little bit the line of, like, she wants to do her thing. That's perfect. I don't want to push her in a direction of trying to be an entrepreneur. She doesn't want to be more implied in my also. Like, we have our own business, or let's say work, but then we have a great passion of being a family. Like, she's a really awesome mother. We have great passion together for like gym and hiking and things. So we do find ourselves in our relationship outside of business, even if work is a big part of our daily, of course, schedule. We just decided to maybe split a little bit more. We do talk a little bit about our job, but less. Like, I don't want to give her all the specifics about my day. It's more like, I had this and that today. Let's now talk about family and what we can do as a family today.
That's awesome. And it's definitely something to work on, to be aligned with.
Yeah.
Even if you're not in the same business, to feel that your partner truly supports your vision, and you for her as well, and that you're creating a life. Because at the end, not only is it important for you, is it going to affect your business directly, but you will teach this skill to your kids, not by what you tell them, but by what you do. At one point in my life, when I separated, I didn't leave my wife for another woman or anything like that. We were not aligned. And I felt that we had come far enough in the stability that we provided for raising really good kids. But I also wanted to show my kids a different version of a relationship. And, you know, that was one of the hardest decisions that I made, because, you're jumping into the unknown. You're not leaving for something else. But I knew that no matter how much I would tell my kids, you need this, or you expect that, or be loving like this, it's never going to sink in the way they see me now, say, for instance, in my relationship, where there's an alignment, there's a flow. So nothing wrong with the other person. It's just an alignment. Yeah, it's just a specific, like, it's an important part of our life right now, because our kids are 3 and 1. Yeah. So it's the part where we are not sleeping that much. No. There's always conflict, or just the focus is on the kids. Get help. Yeah, we are starting to do that. Yes. If I can go back when I was 30, because I had my first kid at 30, and it was the sleepless nights. Because then also you're running on fumes, and everything is worse, and like, your sock is on the floor. Get help as much as you can, whether it's from family, friends, this and that, and pay yourself first in terms of, we've talked about this often. Put the oxygen mask on yourself if you want to help anybody else. And it's something that we work on continually. I want to slow down the pace 2 minutes, and I want you to think back. Is there a moment in the last little while where you felt that maybe all of this was too much and you just wanted to fucking throw it all away?
Of course. The summer was really hard regarding the gym.
This summer?
Yeah. Okay. It's like the first summer since COVID where people are starting back to feel like party and no gym. So when it was COVID, people wanted to work out because they wasn't allowed to do it. So people wanted to work out. Now it was the first real summer that I feel like it was back to normal. Like summer, people don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to pay for like private coach and things like that. So financially, we really felt like it was hard months, like from June to August. So it was a time when I was like, is it really worth it? Yes, the gym, but even the rest, because I'm not used to deal with a lot of conflicts. I'm more like a solopreneur most of the time. Like I manage my own thing. The gym was the first time I had like 8 or 10 employees. So it was, of course, coming with conflicts, with problem with employee, with payroll, with accounting, with whatever. So it was the first time this summer, so only a couple of months ago, where I felt like, do I just want to go on a regular job and just don't fucking work with all the time, managing my own things, needed people to just, hey, this doesn't work, we don't have paper rolls anymore. Like it was always, it was feeling too much. At the same time, we were losing money, and it was the first time that I lost money in the maybe last 5 or 6 years. So I was like, does it really worth it? And that's when we started working together of like, the gym I knew needed to let's say exit my life. Like I wasn't the right person to continue owning and managing the gym. So I was the problem for my own company, and the company was like one thing holding me back from working on other things that would really passionate me at this time. So yeah, I don't think it's really often, but this summer I felt it.
How do you ground yourself in conflict or in trials and tribulation? How do you keep moving forward?
The prison really helped me managing anxiety. Like I felt the more anxious I never felt in my life during that period, like really, really anxious. So I don't really feel that much stress when it's coming in. Like my body is going to tell me there's stress, but my head is, so I'm like, you said that cold head? Like
you're level-headed. You're detached from.
So this summer I had a little bit more stress. I felt it. I felt like financially, I was looking at the bank account and I was like, oh, I don't like that. It's the first time I'm seeing like a decreasing in my cash in the accounts. I was like, I don't like that. So I just think that at this particular moment, I had to find a solution. I used to, okay, let's do another package. Let's get another employee. Let's find solution. But at this moment, the solution was for me to quit. And it's kind of strange. It's the first time in my life that it's happening. Like the entrepreneur needs to quit his own company. For me, it felt strange. It still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to give up to go up.
Yeah.
And that's a concept that's very, very hard. There is a part of ego. There's a part of what are people going to say. There's a part of, fuck, I don't want to say I've put so much into this.
Yeah.
But when you do the math and you see what's on the other side, the decision not only becomes easy, it becomes unavoidable. It becomes non-negotiable, which one of the things that that I'm trying to prompt you is to get to instill certain habits, habit stackings, things that we can sustain. One of them is reading.
Yeah.
Simply because it allows for a different way to collect the information. It also allows for a way to detach yourself from other things. So, we spoke about your briefly your past in prison and how it shaped you. There's that guy, Wes Watson, who talks about his journey in prison, how it shaped him. In fact, I had reached out to him, maybe not at the best time, and he called me out of my bullshit so fucking hard. In fact, he's like, yeah, no, dude, I'm not working with you. But that was the best coaching that I had received from anybody. Because most people will, how can I put it? They will accommodate you in your own bullshit.
Yeah.
So that being said, I figured, you know what? I have maybe something that's going to speak to you a little bit more than the other book that I suggested. It's this here.
Okay.
Non-Negotiable by Wes Watson.
Oh.
So you got to figure out that there's more than education, there's application, but you have that already. I think it'll be something that will speak to you because of his past, because of what he's been able to do. It's an easy read, and you just, you work the muscle. So
why not?
That for you is
Thank you very much.
A little gift. And listen, I always like to have this conversation with, with all the guests, there's things that are important. There's things that we consider success, financial success, attaining certain things. But you seem to me as somebody who's very level-headed and very, I would say, in tune with what happiness means. And so just tell me again, what is happiness for you? What is success for you?
Right now, it's all about family for me. So, of course, I'm someone driven by, let's say, money, but of course, like financially success businesses. So I want to work on my business, but I think I'm now able to leverage all of that, being like, I don't only want to do that for money, for me, for my own, like, I want more car. I'm a really simple guy at the end, but when I got my kids, it really felt like I had clarity on why I was doing all of that. So for me, it was like, maybe at first I was working that much because I didn't know. No. Like I always was someone really, how do you say that, really too much on something, extremist?
Yeah, sure, an extremist.
So in gym, in drugs, when I was younger, as a businessman, I was working, like I said, 24/7. It was too much. Now I do feel more in a balanced lifestyle where, of course, there's no balance necessarily, but I'm in a part of my life when I'm able to say that I'm working to provide for my family. Of course, I want to provide more than just
material. No, of course.
And not just average. I want a little bit more. I want to have like, yes, I want the house.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I love the fact that you don't come from necessarily a wealthy background. No. But you don't have any limitations or any reservations to say, hey, yeah, I want to make money. And you don't have I would say an unhealthy relationship where sometimes people who don't necessarily come from a fortunate background might be surrounded also with people who view success and financial success as something that's forbidden, that's verboten. Whereas for you, I think you embrace it. However, you're not always surrounded with that, right? Yep. So how do you do it to overcome the naysayers? How do you do it to overcome the people who tell you, well, maybe you should dream a little bit smaller?
Like I said, I had so many big dreams, but let's say negative dreams when I was with the kind of people I was when I was younger, of like, yes, I want the big car, the big muscle, the woman, all of that, the lifestyle of always being in parties, even if I'm 35 years old. Like when I got the prison sentence, I felt like, okay, now you just found yourself.
Yeah.
You're not that kind of people. You're not that kind of people.
Yeah.
So like these days when people are trying to shape me into something, like I'm already, like you said, I'm grounded on what I want in life right now. So even if someone is like, I don't think it's worth it, or maybe you should not do that, or yes, I do have the kind of mentality where sometimes I need the slap. I need to have the consequence to understand in life. It brings me in some bad path, but also on another, let's say it's also helping me staying on my line and just being able to like, okay, that's your opinion. I do respect that. But I have my own, like...
Sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop you from hearing and from listening, but to form your own path. And exactly. I think a part of that's definitely part of the process. You don't know what you don't know. You need to put yourself out there. Your environment is important. Your podcast is allowing you to shine for who you are.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we often talk about is creating opportunities where other people don't see them through either opportunities that you're going to create by who you are or by who you know. Somebody once said to me, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I can, Obama. Obama doesn't know me.
Yeah.
Let me get to, so that type of social capital, the importance of, your connections, your relationships. And I think that when you go out in the world with clear intentions and alignment and you have something to offer, then it becomes very easy to have this transactional sort of approach in which there's a give and take, but it's grounded in just good, wholesome relations.
I think this is the best thing we are working on right now, because I think people knew me since a long time because of social media. Like I do think I always had a pretty good following, let's say it like that, but I never had opportunities with people. Like people would not give things to me, and at the same time I would not give things to people also. Like, okay, nice, you got 100K on TikTok, on Instagram or whatever, but you don't feel connected with people. You don't have a great network. You just have people knowing you.
Yeah.
So that's what we are working right now, of just trying to be of values to people, And at the same time, yes, of course, sometimes receiving without asking, but that's something that we are building a network together. In my podcast, I do think that this year, it was my main focus to build a good network, to be open to opportunities, to let people come to me, to try to give first and not necessarily wait on receiving something.
Not expecting. Expectation will kill you.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. I often, I would say, suffered from that, and I'm going to explain. I'm a very generous person, and I go fucking all in. I give everything I have and everything I don't. And I don't ask for anything in return, but I often found that I expected. Because I do this, I kind of expect you to be a certain way or do something with it. Until I was actually listening to Deepak Chopra. And, the philosophy that you just need to let go. You give. The gift is in giving, but then it doesn't belong to you anymore. Yeah. And you let go of the outcome. So you don't let go of the input. You don't change your way, but you don't expect anything in return. And gratitude, when somebody shows you gratitude, it means everything. But even that you can't expect. So that's something that we work a lot on, you and I. It's a good practice for business. It's a good practice for life to have gratitude. And today I want to say thank you because you're part of my journey in becoming the person that I want to become.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, man.
Okay, guys, that's a wrap. Mind blow. We're going to put a link to that. Nootropics. It's awesome. It tastes great. Feels good. And stay tuned for more. Your podcast is called... Oh, hold on. I think there's something that's important to mention. First of all, the awesome work of Sun Media... Suna Film, guys. Suna Film. That you can edit. I think it's important to mention, the awesome work of Suna Film. You guys have been awesome. I think it's important to mention your podcast, qui est le podcast ordinaire. And most of all, that, our interactions are mostly in French. I said, hey, are you ready to step outside of your comfort zone and do it in English? And you're like, fuck yeah. So, bravo, parce que ça prend quand même... c'est ça, c'est pas tout le monde qui est capable de le faire.
J'ai essayé. I hope it was great.
C'est fantastique. De toute façon, on a coupé ta voix, on a mis des sous-titres. So, thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
I think it's a testament to your character.
Thank you.
All right, guys, stay tuned for some more episodes at the Mount Stephen Hotel from the Broker's Desk for now with Sebastian Sperano and Sam Beaudry. Thanks, Sam.